memory away to stay present. Does Max have any brothers or sisters? No, he's an only child. He doesn't even have any friends. At home, he never leaves his room except to take care of me or eat dinner, and he plays those computer games all night. I'm all he has. Mrs. Teichner blinked away tears. What's going to happen to him? He could hurt himself after I'm gone. Please, take this. Eric pulled a Kleenex from a box on the bedside table and handed it to her. As a psychiatrist, he spent a lot of time handing people tissues, but it still tore his heart out when women cried, especially older ones. They reminded him of his mother, whom he still thought about every day. I don't know what to do. I'm worried sick about him. Do you really think he'd harm himself? Yes, I really do. Mrs. Teichner dabbed her nose, which came to a curved point. Pinkish mottling on its sides told him her oxygenation was poor, which was to be expected. He's an odd duck, but he's a good kid, with a good heart. Has he ever tried to hurt himself? Or said words to that effect? No, he doesn't talk about himself or his feelings. His father was the same way. That good-for-nothing. Eric let it go. Has Max gone to a therapist or gotten counseling at school? No, he's embarrassed. He says he'll get teased if people find out. Mrs. Teichner sniffled, wiping her nose. I'm beside myself. I pray on it all the time. It's just so hard. I've asked around, but nobody comes through. Please, help him. Well, I do have a private practice, Eric found himself saying, though he hardly needed a new client. I could make time to see him if he wanted. Really? Mrs. Teichner's hooded eyes rounded with hope. Would you? I would if he wants to come. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Eric's heart eased to see her relieved. But you have to understand that psychotherapy is a serious undertaking, and you've probably heard that it helps only if the person really wants to do it. I'll make the offer to Max, but it's up to him. He'll go, I know. You've lifted such a load off. Mrs. Teichner clapped her arthritic hands together, holding her Kleenex. Really, there's nothing on earth that matters to me as much as that boy. I can be at peace if I know he's okay. You understand if you have kids. I do. Eric thought of Hannah, but kept that to himself. His daughter was only 7 years old, and he worried about what would happen to her if he wasn't around. Since his separation from his wife, that worry had become more than academic. And, Doc, I can pay you, don't worry about it. What does it cost to see you, $50 or $60 an hour? About that, yes, Eric answered. His fee was $300 an hour, and for clients who couldn't afford that, he had a sliding scale that was never less than $250, except for crying old ladies facing terminal diagnoses. Psychiatry was among the lowest-paying medical specialties because it required virtually no procedures, with the highest fees generated by procedure-heavy practices like orthopedics, with its hip replacements and Tommy John surgeries, or plastic surgery with its facelifts, nose jobs, and boob jobs. Every psychiatrist hated the irony that the best-paying specialty was cosmetic surgery, as if you could fix your psyche by changing your face. Then it's a deal. Thank you so much. Happy to help. Eric rose, brushing down his khakis. Before I leave, are you sure you don't want to talk to me about yourself? I've treated patients coping with a diagnosis like yours, and it's understandable if you want some help. Nah, I'm a tough cookie. Except for the cancer. I'm fine. Mrs. Teichner waved him off with an ironic smile. Virginia, it was a pleasure meeting you. Eric slid his wallet from his pocket, extracted a card, and set it down on the bedside table. If you change your mind, feel free to call me. Don't hesitate. You are one tough cookie. You bet your ass, Mrs. Teichner shot back. Eric smiled, trying not to wonder if he would see her alive again. He gave her a final wave and motioned to the medical students to leave. Mrs. Teichner, bye now. I'll send Dr. Fortunato in. Best of luck.